I was 29 when my life crumbled right before my eyes. Amanda and I had been together for 18 months, and I was certain she was the one. We had built a beautiful life together in Boston, sharing a cozy apartment and dreams of our future. I had even started shopping for engagement rings, planning the perfect proposal. Then one night she sat me down and told me we were over because of red flags her best friend Stephanie had pointed out to her. Before I continue this story, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. If you have ever had a relationship sabotaged by someone else, hit that like button and subscribe to hear how this shocking betrayal took an unexpected turn that changed everything. I met Amanda at our mutual friend David's housewarming party 2 years ago. I still remember how she stood by the kitchen island laughing at something someone said, her auburn hair cascading down her shoulders. There was an immediate spark between us when David introduced us. We spent the entire evening in a corner, talking about everything from our shared love of hiking to our obsession with true crime podcasts and passion for Italian cooking. Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant in North End. I was nervous, overthinking every word and gesture, but Amanda made it easy. We connected on a deeper level that night, and by the time I walked her home, I knew this could be something special. We started dating casually weekend hikes, cooking dinners together, catching movies, and before we knew it, we were exclusive. The next year and a half was nothing short of amazing. We went on weekend hiking trips to the White Mountains, where we would disconnect from technology and reconnect with each other. Every Sunday became our special cooking day. We would wake up late, visit the farmer's market for fresh ingredients, and spend the afternoon making homemade pasta from scratch. I taught her my grandmother's secret sauce recipe, and she showed me how to make the perfect tiramisu. We supported each other through career challenges, too. When I was struggling with a difficult project at my software development job, Amanda would listen patiently every evening, offering perspective and encouragement. And when she was passed over for promotion at her marketing firm, I was there to remind her of her worth and talent. We celebrated victories together and carried each other through disappointments. Our families embraced us as a couple. My parents adored Amanda and often commented on how she brought out a softer side of me. Her family welcomed me into their traditions, and her father even took me fishing, telling me stories of Amanda's childhood. These were all signs pointing toward a solid future together. After 10 months of dating, we decided to move in together. It felt right. We found a 2-bedroom apartment in Cambridge, with a small balcony where we grew herbs and tomatoes. Combining our lives felt seamless, like 2 puzzle pieces fitting perfectly together. We established routines and rituals that made our house feel like a home. I thought we were building something unbreakable. Stephanie entered our story as a significant character about 8 months into our relationship. She had been Amanda's best friend since their college days at Boston University. They were roommates for 3 years and maintained a sister-like bond, even after graduating. When I first met Stephanie at a dinner Amanda arranged, she seemed warm and welcoming, giving me a big hug and saying she had heard so much about me. Stephanie was tall, confident, and quick-witted. She worked as a pharmaceutical sales representative, which suited her outgoing personality. Initially, I appreciated her friendship with Amanda. Everyone needs close friends who knew them before their current relationship, and their weekly coffee dates seemed to make Amanda happy. Yet I noticed early on how Stephanie had a subtle competitive streak when it came to Amanda's attention. She would often reference inside jokes from their past or plan elaborate outings that seemed designed to remind Amanda of their bond. Things began to shift when Stephanie went through a difficult breakup with her boyfriend of 5 years, Jordan. Suddenly, she was at our apartment several nights a week, crying on our couch or asking Amanda to join her for drinks to take her mind off things. I understood she needed support, so I tried to be accommodating. I would make myself scarce during their conversations, ordering takeout for everyone, or suggesting activities that might lift Stephanie's spirits. Despite my efforts to be understanding, I sometimes felt like a third wheel in my own relationship. There were moments when I would enter a room and they would abruptly change the subject or share knowing looks. Still, I dismissed these concerns, telling myself it was natural for Amanda to support her friend through a difficult time. Looking back, I can see the first subtle signs of trouble, though I was blind to them then. Amanda began comparing our relationship to couples she saw on social media, making comments like, "Look how romantic James is with Sarah. He surprised her with a weekend trip to Maine," or, "Did you see how Michael wrote that poem for Tara's birthday? That is so thoughtful." These comparisons were new and made me feel inadequate, though I tried to dismiss them as harmless observations. After girls' nights with Stephanie became more frequent, Amanda would return home with a distant look in her eyes. Our conversations became shorter, and she seemed distracted, checking her phone more often and smiling at texts I never got to see. When I asked about her evening, her responses were vague, lacking the detail and enthusiasm she usually shared. Most concerning was how Amanda started questioning aspects of our relationship that were never issues before. She began asking if I truly saw a future with her despite our many conversations about building a life together. She questioned my commitment because I had not yet proposed, even though we had discussed waiting until she finished her master's program. She even brought up minor disagreements from months earlier, reframing them as signs of incompatibility. I was growing concerned but dismissed it as temporary insecurity. I thought perhaps the stress of her graduate studies and work pressures was taking a toll. I tried to be more attentive, planning special date nights and leaving little notes around the apartment to remind her how much she meant to me. In retrospect, I should have recognized these changes coincided with Stephanie's increased presence in our lives, but love has a way of blinding us to the obvious. The day that changed everything started like any other. It was a Tuesday in April, unseasonably warm for Boston. I woke up with Amanda curled beside me, the morning light casting a golden glow across our bedroom. We shared a quick breakfast before heading to our respective jobs, kissing goodbye at the door like we always did. There was no indication that this would be the last normal morning of our relationship. I had planned a special dinner that evening. I wanted to talk about our future, maybe even broach the subject of engagement timelines. I left work early to pick up ingredients for Amanda's favorite meal, braised short ribs with creamy polenta. I set the table with the nice dishes we rarely used, lit a few candles, and even put on a playlist of songs that were meaningful to our relationship. When I heard her key in the lock, I felt a flutter of excitement. But as soon as Amanda walked through the door, I knew something was wrong. Her expression was strange, a mix of determination and sadness. She barely acknowledged the romantic setup, placing her bag on the counter with deliberate movements. "We need to talk," she said, those 4 words that never precede anything good. I felt my stomach drop as we sat at the table I had so carefully prepared. The candles flickered between us as Amanda explained that she had been doing a lot of thinking about our relationship. She said she loved me but was not sure if I was the right person for her long term. I sat in stunned silence as she began listing what she called red flags that she had apparently been ignoring. According to Amanda, I was too comfortable in our relationship and not romantic enough anymore. She brought up how I rarely surprised her with grand gestures like other boyfriends did for their girlfriends. She mentioned my friendship with Kate, a female coworker I occasionally had lunch with, suggesting there might be something inappropriate there despite the fact that Kate was happily married and had become friends with Amanda too. Most shocking were accusations about my supposed controlling behavior. Amanda cited examples that were actually joint decisions we had made together, like our budget for traveling or how we divided household responsibilities. She even mentioned my reluctance to attend every social event with her friends, as evidence that I was trying to isolate her, when in reality, I had simply encouraged her to maintain her individual friendships while I occasionally took time for my own interests. These accusations felt like they were coming from a stranger, not the woman I had built a life with for the past year and a half. When I asked where all this was coming from, Amanda revealed that Stephanie had helped her see clearly about our relationship. "Stephanie has been pointing out these patterns for weeks." Amanda explained, her voice steady, but her eyes avoiding mine. "She helped me realize that I have been settling for less than I deserve. She analyzed how you behave around me, how you speak to me, even your body language. She says these are classic signs of someone who is not fully invested." I was blindsided. Apparently, Amanda had been discussing the intimate details of our relationship with Stephanie extensively, and her friend had been analyzing my behavior without my knowledge. What hurt most was that Amanda had accepted this external assessment over her own experience with me, over the countless moments of love and support we had shared. I tried to address each concern, explaining my perspective and suggesting that perhaps there were misunderstandings. I proposed couples counseling, believing that a neutral third party might help us bridge this sudden communication gap. But Amanda's mind was made up. She said she needed to find herself, and that she deserved better than what our relationship had become. After hours of talking in circles, I finally accepted her decision, though I believed it was based on misinterpretations and outside influence. Sometimes, when someone is determined to leave, fighting only prolongs the inevitable. With a heavy heart, I agreed to move out, giving her space she said she needed. The weeks following the breakup were some of the most painful of my life. I moved into my friend Mike's spare room while looking for a new apartment. The process of separating our belongings felt like dismantling the physical evidence of our love. Each item we had purchased together now required a decision: yours, mine, donate. The coffee maker she had given me for Christmas, the hiking backpack we had picked out together, the framed photo of us at Mount Washington, all now artifacts of a life that no longer existed. Every night I found myself replaying our relationship in my mind, searching for the signs I must have missed. Had I truly been controlling without realizing it? Was I really not romantic enough? I questioned my own behavior and wondered if I had unintentionally hurt Amanda in ways I could not see. The self-doubt was almost as painful as the loss itself. My friends rallied around me, offering support and a listening ear. They seemed equally confused by the sudden breakup, having always seen us as a strong, compatible couple. Mike, who had known us both since the beginning, expressed his surprise at the reasons Amanda had given. "You guys always seem to communicate so well," he said one evening as we shared a beer on his balcony, "and I never saw you as controlling. If anything, you were always encouraging her to pursue her own interests." Despite the support, I decided to respect Amanda's choice and maintain no contact. I did not call or text her, difficult as it was. I believed this clean break would be healthiest for both of us, allowing wounds to begin healing without being reopened. I removed myself from social media temporarily, not wanting to see updates about her life or be tempted to check if she was seeing someone new. To channel my pain into something productive, I immersed myself in work and self-improvement. I took on a challenging new project at my job, developing a healthcare application, pouring my energy into creating something that might help others. The long hours and complex problems provided a welcome distraction from the constant ache in my chest. I also joined a rock climbing gym, something I had always been interested in but never pursued. The physical exertion helped me sleep at night, and the focus required to scale a wall left no mental space for ruminating on the breakup. I found unexpected solace in the climbing community, people who were passionate about pushing their limits and supporting each other's growth. Beyond these new activities, I reconnected with old friends I had somewhat neglected during my relationship. There were college buddies I used to play basketball with, weekly former coworkers I had always meant to stay in touch with, even my cousin Thomas, who lived just outside the city. Rebuilding these connections reminded me that my identity extended beyond being Amanda's boyfriend. Perhaps most importantly, I began seeing a therapist to process the breakup and examine myself honestly. Dr. Matthews helped me work through my grief, while also reflecting on patterns in the relationship. She never took sides, but encouraged me to consider both Amanda's perspective and my own truth. These sessions became a safe space to express the anger, confusion, and sadness that cycled through me in waves. Gradually, painfully, I began rebuilding my confidence and identity as an individual. I remembered who I was before Amanda and started envisioning who I might become now that our paths had diverged. The sharp pain of loss slowly dulled to an occasional ache, and I found myself having moments of genuine happiness again. Not every day was good, but the good days started outnumbering the bad. 6 weeks after Amanda ended our relationship, I was beginning to feel like myself again. I had secured a small but comfortable apartment in Somerville, established new routines, and was sleeping through most nights without waking up reaching for someone who was not there. The progress felt hard, but real. Then one night around 11:30, my phone lit up with a notification. A text from an unknown number. "Can we meet for coffee tomorrow? I need to talk to you about something important. Stephanie." I stared at the message for a long time, my mind racing. Why would Amanda's best friend, the woman who had apparently orchestrated the end of our relationship, want to meet with me now? My initial instinct was to ignore the text, to protect the fragile peace I had established. But curiosity nagged at me. What could be so important that she needed to tell me in person? I called Mike for advice. "Absolutely not," he said immediately. "She helped tank your relationship. Meeting her can only open old wounds." My other friends echoed this sentiment when I mentioned it in our group chat. Everyone seemed to think meeting Stephanie was a terrible idea. Yet the question lingered. What if she had information that could provide closure? What if Amanda had asked her to return something of mine? The possibilities kept me awake that night, and by morning my curiosity had won out. I texted Stephanie back, agreeing to meet at a coffee shop near my office during lunch the next day. I chose a public place during daylight hours, wanting to maintain some boundary in this strange situation. The following day, I arrived at the cafe 10 minutes early, selecting a table near the window where I could see her approach. My stomach was in knots, a mix of anxiety and lingering anger toward this woman who had inserted herself into my relationship. I ordered a black coffee but could not bring myself to drink it. When Stephanie walked in, I almost did not recognize her. Gone was the confident, polished woman I remembered. This Stephanie looked tired, with dark circles under her eyes and her usually perfect hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She spotted me and approached hesitantly, nothing like her normal assertive stride. "Thanks for meeting me," she said, sliding into the chair across from me. She ordered a tea when the barista came by, then spent an uncomfortable minute arranging and rearranging her napkin. I waited, refusing to make this easier for her. After several failed attempts at small talk about the weather and the cafe's pastry selection, I cut to the chase. "Why did you want to meet Stephanie? I have to get back to work soon." She took a deep breath, her fingers wrapped tightly around her mug. "I need to tell you something, and I know you are probably going to hate me more than you already do, but I cannot live with this anymore." What followed was a confession I never expected. Stephanie admitted that she had deliberately sabotaged our relationship. She had not simply pointed out red flags as Amanda had claimed, but actively manufactured concerns and manipulated information to drive a wedge between us. "I was jealous," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "After Jordan left me, I could not stand seeing you and Amanda so happy together. It was a constant reminder of what I had lost. At first, I just made small comments, questioning little things about your relationship. But then I saw how it affected Amanda, how she started doubting things, and I kept going." She explained how she had taken innocent situations and reframed them as problematic. "My friendship with Kate became emotional cheating. Our joint financial decisions became evidence of my controlling nature. My occasional need for alone time transformed into emotional unavailability." She had planted these seeds and watched them grow into full-blown doubts in Amanda's mind. Stephanie pulled out her phone and showed me text conversations where she had been working to convince Amanda that I was not right for her. Messages spanning months revealed a deliberate campaign to undermine our relationship. "You deserve someone who makes grand gestures," one text read. "A guy who only surprises you on birthdays and anniversaries is just doing the minimum." Another message questioned my intentions. "Have you noticed how he always has an excuse not to hang out with your friends?" Classic isolation tactic. But the final revelation was the most devastating. "There is something else you should know," Stephanie said, unable to meet my eyes. "Amanda has been seeing someone else, her personal trainer at the gym. It started about 2 weeks before you broke up." The coffee shop seemed to tilt around me. Amanda had been seeing someone else while we were still together. While we were living together, sharing a bed, planning a future, The betrayal cut deep, reopening wounds I thought were beginning to heal. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked when I could finally speak. "Because I am ashamed," Stephanie replied. "I thought I was helping Amanda see the truth, but I was just projecting my own issues onto your relationship." And then when I saw how quickly she moved on with Tyler, I realized she was not the victim I made her out to be. "You are a good guy, Jeff. You did not deserve any of this." My shock was giving way to an unexpected calm. The pieces were finally falling into place, the inconsistencies in Amanda's behavior during those final weeks now making perfect sense. While it hurt to learn about her infidelity, there was also relief in knowing that our breakup had not been entirely my fault. "I need to see proof of this," I said, not quite ready to take Stephanie's word after everything she had done. She nodded and pulled up Instagram on her phone, navigating to a private account that Amanda had apparently blocked me from seeing. There were photos of Amanda with a muscular man I had never seen before, looking very much like a couple. The dates on the posts confirmed Stephanie's timeline. Their relationship had indeed begun before Amanda ended things with me. I handed the phone back to Stephanie, a strange sense of calm washing over me. "Thank you for your honesty," I said, surprising myself with these words. Despite her role in our breakup, her confession had given me something valuable: the truth. As I stood to leave, Stephanie looked up at me with tears in her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Jeff. I do not expect forgiveness, but I needed you to know." I nodded, not trusting myself to say more, and walked out of the coffee shop into the bright afternoon sun, feeling oddly lighter despite the new weight of what I had learned. Later that evening, as I was trying to process everything at my apartment, my phone buzzed with another text from Stephanie. "You deserve better than both of us. I am sorry." Attached were screenshots of conversations between her and Amanda, discussing how to let me down easy and coordinate the breakup. There were also messages from Amanda to Stephanie about her growing feelings for Tyler, the trainer, and her guilt about their connection during private sessions. The evidence was undeniable, laid out in their own words. Amanda had not just been influenced by Stephanie's manipulations. She had actively participated in the deception while pursuing someone new. I sat with this information, trying to decide what to do next. Part of me wanted to confront Amanda immediately to demand answers about her betrayal. But another part, a stronger part, recognized that this new information had given me something unexpected: power to reclaim my narrative and move forward on my terms. After sleeping on it, I decided I needed to confront Amanda, not for reconciliation, but for closure. I texted her asking if we could meet, saying I had found some of her things while unpacking. It was not entirely honest, but it got her to agree to coffee at a neutral location. When Amanda arrived at the cafe, she seemed surprised by my composed demeanor. She had expected the same heartbroken man she had left behind, perhaps still holding out hope for reconciliation. Instead, she found someone changed, someone with clear eyes and a straight back. "You look good," she said, sounding genuinely surprised. "How have you been?" "Better," I replied simply. "I have been doing a lot of thinking about us and why things ended the way they did. I have also learned some things that have given me a different perspective." Without accusation or anger, I laid out what I knew: Stephanie's deliberate campaign to sabotage our relationship and Amanda's affair with her trainer that began while we were still together. I showed her the screenshots Stephanie had sent me, not to hurt her, but to make it clear that I was speaking from a place of knowledge. Her reaction evolved quickly from defensive denial to tearful admission. "I never meant to hurt you," she said, the same words. "Countless unfaithful partners have offered throughout history. Tyler and I just connected in a way that made me question everything else." Stephanie helped me see that what I was feeling was valid. As she continued explaining her side of the story, making excuses and trying to minimize her actions, I realized something profound. I no longer felt pain when looking at her. The woman I had wanted to marry, whose rejection had devastated me weeks earlier, now stirred only disappointment and a sense of closure. The spell was broken. "I did not ask you here to make you feel guilty or to hear explanations. I interrupted gently. I just wanted you to know that I know the truth now, and it has helped me move on. I hope you find what you are looking for, Amanda. In the weeks that followed, both Amanda and Stephanie made attempts to remain in my life, though in very different ways. After things apparently did not work out with Tyler, the trainer Amanda began texting me late at night first, with casual check-ins that evolved into more explicit suggestions about talking things through and seeing if there is still something there. I responded politely but briefly, making it clear that reconciliation was not on the table. Stephanie's approach was more about atonement. She sent occasional messages apologizing again, or asking if there was anything she could do to make amends. While I appreciated her remorse, I recognized that maintaining any kind of relationship with her would only keep me tied to a painful chapter of my past. I eventually told her directly that while I forgave her, I needed to move forward without either of them in my life. This experience taught me invaluable lessons about trusting my instincts and the importance of direct communication. I realized how much I had suppressed my own concerns during those final weeks, with Amanda dismissing the signs of her emotional withdrawal because I did not want to face the possibility of losing her. Never again would I ignore my intuition in favor of what I wanted to believe. I also established clearer boundaries for future relationships. I would no longer accept having my character assessed by proxy through the lens of someone else's opinion. And I would require honest, direct communication from a partner about their needs and concerns rather than filtered feedback through a third party. 6 months after the breakup, my life had transformed in ways I never expected. The energy I had previously invested in my relationship was redirected into my career, resulting in a promotion to senior developer with a significant raise. I moved into a new apartment in a vibrant neighborhood, decorating it exactly as I wanted, a space that truly reflected my personality rather than a compromise. My social circle expanded through my continued involvement with rock climbing and other new interests I had pursued. I joined a recreational soccer league and a book club focused on science fiction, meeting diverse people who enriched my life in different ways. These connections helped me realize how much I had narrowed my social world during my relationship with Amanda. I even began dating again, cautiously at first, then with more confidence, as I discovered that my experience had given me greater clarity about what I wanted in a partner. I met Rachel, a pediatric nurse with a quick wit and refreshing directness, at a friend's barbecue. Our connection was different from anything I had experienced before, built on explicit communication and mutual respect from the beginning. Looking back on the painful end of my relationship with Amanda, I found myself strangely grateful for the experience. The betrayal forced me to develop greater self-awareness and stronger boundaries. It taught me to value honesty above comfort, and to recognize that losing someone who does not truly value you is actually gaining yourself back. I learned that surrounding yourself with people who communicate honestly is far more important than being with someone who tells you what you want to hear. The experience sharpened my judgment about character, helping me recognize the difference between authentic connection and superficial compatibility. Most importantly, I found peace in knowing that my worth is not determined by someone else's perception or by a relationship status. The unexpected gift of being forced to rebuild was discovering a stronger version of myself, someone more authentic and self-assured than the man who had been planning to propose to Amanda. Through mutual friends, I occasionally heard updates about Amanda and Stephanie. Their friendship apparently did not survive the aftermath of our breakup, particularly after Stephanie's confession to me came to light. I felt no satisfaction in this collateral damage, no desire for revenge or ill will toward either of them. They had their own lessons to learn, their own paths to follow. In the end, I realized that sometimes the worst breakups lead us exactly where we need to be. Had Amanda not ended our relationship, I might never have discovered my own resilience or recognized the areas where I needed to grow. The experience that once felt like the end of my world became the beginning of a better one. So, if you are going through something similar right now, remember that the pain you feel today is making you stronger for tomorrow. Trust that in time, you will look back and understand why this chapter needed to close for a better story to begin. Have you ever had a relationship where someone else interfered or where betrayal actually led to something better? Share your experience in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences that remind us all that our lowest moments often precede our greatest growth. Thank you for listening, and remember, sometimes losing what you thought you wanted opens the door to what you truly need.